I'm going to show you today how to make a Google form. So you hit the new button and then you go to more and then Google Forms to create a new one. It gives you the option to create a title. So I'm just going to do practice 1. And then if you click up here where it says untitled form, I always click it to be the same name. So you can click it, automatically names it the same thing. You can add a description here just to give some overall directions. And then over here on the side, you have the options to add a question, add a title and a description, an image, a video, or a section. I really like the section for an assessment, giving the students multiple pages so it's not all on one screen at the same time. I've heard from some students that it can be overwhelming, so the sections really add something to it. I also like that they can go back if you make that the correct settings. So let's add this first question, and we're just going to call it question 1. You can here add your different options of your multiple choice. You have the options of check boxes, short answer, paragraph drop down, linear scale, which I really like the scale for some rating different questions if you're doing more of like a survey. Then you can either duplicate your question, you can delete it, you can make it required. For anything with students, I always make the questions required because they won't let them submit until all the required questions are answered. Very important just to make sure they don't skip any questions or anything. And then the 3 dots can give you the shuffle option, depending if you would like to use that. So then we can add another question in. Okay, let's say we want to do a paragraph for that one so they can add the long text and then make it required. And then I can show you how to add the section. So see how it says section 1 of 2 and then section 2 of 2. You can always hit this arrow, which switches them up, or it doesn't switch them, it just closes the section. So it can make it a little bit easier for if you're trying to go from section to section. And then you can duplicate it or merge it, which is kind of nice if you want to, oops, I should have put that section with this section. You can merge them. And then if you want to kind of see what your questions are looking like, up here at the top, you can hit the preview button and it shows you exactly what the students will see. So then they have to answer this one. They have to put text in here. They can hit next and then go to the next section. I'm going to leave that. So coming back up here to some of our options, you can do some add-ons. If you have a math add-on, you can add that in here for GMath, which is great. The color palette just helps you to change the top part of it. The preview button that I just showed you, and then the gear cog for settings. I always click the collect email addresses with students, especially if it's an assessment, if they don't put their name in right or they don't put their name. So I don't usually just collect their email addresses and don't even require them to put their email or their name in. I usually make it one response depending on the use, and you can make it where the students can edit it after. I usually don't do that just because mostly I do it for formatives. I use mine for some warm-ups and summative assessments. And then coming back to the top, you can do presentation. You can show the progress bar, which is great. You can shuffle the questions if you need to do that for an assessment. For math, we usually still give them the paper copy of some of our assessments so they can still do their work and then they turn it in on the form. So I don't usually do the shuffle order for me because I want the question on the paper to match the question on the form. But I know some of the science teachers I work with, they do shuffle because they don't have the paper copy, and then it kind of prevents some of the cheating. Quizzes. This is where it grades it automatically for you depending on how it is. You can hit the make a quiz toggle. For me, I usually do later instead of immediately after submission, just because I want that control of when the students get it back, as well as making sure that all the students have finished it before they see the answers. You can give them questions they missed, the correct answers, and point values if you would like. I'm going to save that. I want to show you a little bit about the responses, okay? Right here, this creating a spreadsheet will take your answers over to a spreadsheet for easy access. You can get an email with new responses, and you can download them, or you can delete them if you're ready for using it a different way. I'm going to show you one that I made. Sorry, nope, I'm in the right one. I'm going to show you one I made for my students. I usually use them for warm-ups. So we sent this question out, or this form out, on Friday. We usually send it on a Google Doc on Monday and then send the form out on Friday. So you can see the responses here. And you can see their grades, and then you can see that the scores have not been released. If you hit this release score button, that's what sends them the email after. I love that it sends them the questions, the correct answer, and what they answered so they can analyze it. It gives me who their teacher was, and then gives me a good breakdown on what kind of questions they missed or what they did well on. I can also see individual scores for individual students. Also, one thing we've learned is if you've released the scores to all your students, and let's say someone else releases this, takes the quiz, you can go to just theirs and just release their score individually, which is nice because when you release the scores, you don't have to uncheck all the boxes for the students who already got the response. You can just go to this part and release their scores. Getting that email really helps some of my students to be able to see the correct answer and then kind of analyze their work. So I hope you enjoyed this Google Forms presentation, and have a great day.